Hello and welcome to Colombia and the northern city of Medellin. We're here for stage 4, the final stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup circuit, and this is the 6th time Medellin has hosted a World Cup, nestled nice and neatly in the Andes mountain range. We're at a brand new venue right in the middle of the city, Parque del Rio. And you might start to get a picture of what it's like out there at the moment. It's been rather inclement here this morning. No wind at the moment, but as you can see, specks of rain on our camera lens. It's a rather pleasant 19 degrees, but the weather conditions have not been fantastic today. It'll be interesting to see how the archers handle it. It is, of course, Compound Saturday, and in this very first session, we're going to turn our attention to the team medal matches. First up, the women's and men's team gold medal matches, followed by both the bronze and the gold medal match in the mixed team competition. We're starting with the women's team gold medal match. And here is how the two teams got to this stage. Great Britain taking on the host nation Colombia. Korea have already beaten Mexico to the bronze medal. So first up, we'll feature the gold medal match in the compound women's team event between Great Britain and Colombia.
And now, please welcome the athletes to the field of play for the compound women's team gold medal match.
Well, right on cue, out come the host nation team. It's time to go for gold here at the 4th stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup as Colombia take on Great Britain.
On target number 1, representing Great Britain, Isabel Carpenter, Elizabeth Foster, and Ella Gibson. On target number 2, representing Colombia, Sara Lopez, Maria Valentina Suarez, Alejandra Uciano. The line judge for this match is Clement Cesar.
Well, those are the teams and the officials. I'm Karim Bashir, and I'm delighted to welcome our new in-house analyst, Olympian from the Netherlands, Chef Vandenberg. Chef, what a lineup to start Compound Saturday.
Yeah, this is a great way to start. I think Great Britain has a very strong team with Ella Gibson and Izzy Carpenter, who has recently become European champion. But the Colombian team obviously has Sara Lopez, Alejandra Uciano, and they have the home crowd advantage, so this will be a good one, I think.
It certainly will. The shooting ends in compound archery, 6 arrows per end. Each archer shoots 2 in 2 rotations, and nice and simple. It's a cumulative score, so as we go through the ends, the score just builds and builds and builds. Be Great Britain to get us underway, and the new World Games champion and new world number 1, Ella Gibson, is on the shooting line.
Yes.
Long hold for Elizabeth Foster.
A bit of shaking going on there for both Elizabeth and Isabel, but they managed to keep them in the gold. I'm curious to see if Colombia can keep their nerves a little better in check.
9.
That looked like a really good shot, and I think she'll adjust her sight on that.
Yes.
Just not using as much time, the Colombians. I wonder if those first 3 hours from Great Britain are going to put a bit of time pressure on as Lopez starts her contribution to this Colombian team effort with a 10.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see how stable and solid Ella is in her shot. She just puts that sight in the middle and just waits for the shot to go, and it's really pleasing to the eye. On the contrary, Elizabeth seems to be struggling a bit so far. She's only shot 2 arrows, so anything can still happen, but I think the first 2 arrows were a bit shaky and a bit nervous.
Yes.
Probably the best high five so far we've seen.
Very good. I warn you that Chef notices everything. So a 10 required for a 1-point lead. Just drifting high right. It's going to go for a measure, but if it is marked up, the two teams will be all square. So a couple of things first off, Chef. First one, Great Britain shooting a lot slower than Colombia. Is that going to make a difference?
It might, but it's not necessarily a competition of shooting fast. It's a competition of shooting arrows in the middle. And as long as Great Britain saves themselves the time and has enough time to complete the end within the 2-minute time mark, then I think it should be fine.
Second question then. Got the world number 1 in the Great Britain team, the world number 2 in the Colombian team. Gibson is going off first and fourth, and Lopez third and sixth.
Yeah, so typically the most experienced or highest scoring archer will either be the first or last archer in the team, because it's the 2 most difficult positions. So you either want to have a good start, and yeah, that may evoke some nerves, and the same goes for being an anchor like Sarah is here, because you can close out a match or close out an end with a good shot.
So a couple of 8s, potentially a measured 8 here for Colombia. But otherwise 9s and 10s, a high quality start, despite some signs of nerves.
Interestingly, you would say the Colombians have an advantage because they are used to the conditions, but I think shooting in the rain will not be an issue for the typical British archer.
Yes, we do have some rather wet weather in the UK, but the temperature is certainly very warm there, so it might be a little humid as well, and like you say, that may well favour the locals. Looks like that 8 remained an 8, so after a chance for Colombia to go into the lead, they actually trail Great Britain by 1 after this first end. So if anything, that's really, really good news for Great Britain. They wouldn't want Colombia to start running away right at the beginning.
No, just that 1-point difference is good enough to at least stay in the match, and the other other side of this is that Colombia is starting now, and they can really put some pressure on, because it seemed like even though Sarah shot her last arrow out of the gold, I think they are getting dialed in, and yeah, it's going to be dangerous to shoot against Colombia being dialed in.
End number 2, and Esqueno back on the shooting line.
Yes.
2018 Pan American Games gold medalist. This will be her first ever senior medal for Maria Suarez.
Yes.
It seems like she's looking to make it a gold one, and she seems really relaxed, more relaxed maybe than the shooters on the line for Great Britain. So it seems like either she is just really good at handling nerves, or she's feeling the warm embrace of her shooting in her own country. That might also be what's going on here.
So Gibson's job for Great Britain, as Chef Vandenberg suggested, is to go out first and get down some big scores to settle the nerves for her teammates. Here, Elizabeth Foster and then Izzy Carpenter shooting number 3.
It just doesn't seem like they have really settled in yet. It's obvious to see due to the scores, but also the way they're standing and the way they're communicating. It seems like they're a little bit on edge.
And up steps the 6-time Hyundai Archery World Cup Finals champion, a record which she holds on her own.
I just look at the difference in body language as well. Looking at the Colombian team and the British team, it looks like the Colombian team is trying to get each other through this, whereas the British team is just, they seem to have their own little task, and they do communicate, but it doesn't seem to be as open or maybe genuine is the word. It's difficult to express for me, not being a native speaker, because it's really really nuanced, but there's just something, it's different from team to team here.
Just not quite settled, are they? They just don't look quite at the races yet. Going through the process, but it smiles on the other side of the shooting line. Not a bad final 3 arrows to control the damage a little bit, but Colombia leading by 2, and we can see here there's not really much communication from the coach, just starting now to talk.
Yeah, offering a little blow tool to clean up the peep sight, because there might be some people or some archers here on the line using a peep sight with a clarifier in it, so that like a little lens in their peep sight to make the image that they see a bit more clear. But in conditions like these, with very humid or very rainy weather, then it's difficult to see through it if there's a droplet in there. So you don't want to blow it off with your just your breath, because then it will condense and you won't see anything. So they always have a little tool to blow out any potential droplets without making it condense up.
We're getting a look at the number 2s for each of the teams. Suarez for Colombia looking very relaxed. Foster looked slightly better in that second end, but she's taking a lot more time than any of the other archers. We see also the camaraderie and relaxed nature of the Colombians.
Yeah, I'm sure Sarah will love to have that missed high five go in the highlight reel later.
Genuinely looking very relaxed. This is not put on. We have spoken to Sarah Lopez. We spoke to him. Well, she was actually in South America once the Paris World Cup was going on. She was talking about having a bit of a struggle with confidence. Now she was really having to focus on her mental health. Just a few weeks later, and look at her, silver medalist at the World Games, and now shooting the first opportunity for a gold medal here on home soil. Ella Gibson steps up for Great Britain at the start of end number 3.
Yeah, there's no hint whatsoever of any nerves going through Ella's mind when she is on the line. And then when she gets off the line, you can see that there is a little bit of relaxation and a little bit of relief, maybe, especially if she shoots a 10. But she's really managing her nerves well, and I think that's probably the reason that she's the #1 in the world right now. And here we'll see a little bit more shaking. But that's exactly the type of shaking that she did when she became a European champion. So I think that's just part of her routine or part of her shot, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that happens to her.
Just a little bit of movement there from Vizcaíno.
Yeah, that was a bit particular because she hasn't really moved so far in this match. She was really solid, and just now she had a little bit of movement, so it might be that there was a gust of wind. It's really difficult to see now if there is wind or not, because all the flags are probably going to be wet and heavy, so they won't show as much wind as normal. Or she just had a dip in her muscle tension. That's also a possibility. Yeah, so there was another dip from Sarah, but she managed to lift her arm up just enough to get it back into the 10.
Second rotation for Great Britain, still trailing by those 2 points from the second end, but a lovely shot from Gibson.
Was a big wobble. Yeah, that makes sense, and I think she knew it herself. She was a bit disappointed coming off the line, but I think she's more nervous than we can see from here.
Called an 8 in venue, but I can assure you that was a 10. It has actually been called an 8.
Alejandra just trumped her own high five, if I may say so. That one might not have hit the 10, but it was a very good shot. It's being called a 10, so maybe I am mistaken, but I thought it was just out.
It did look a little out, didn't it? Just to the left, didn't it, of target. And A 9 it looked like for Sara Lopez. I think we're going to need to see what the target judge sees here. Originally marked as an 8 the last hour for Great Britain. Marked as a 10, but we think that one of the 10s from Colombia may well be a 9. It's difficult to see the targets well from our vantage point, but that's what the target judges are there for. Those little movements, Chef, both teams are showing a little bit of movement. Do you think it might well be wind, or do you think nerves are playing a part?
I think it's mostly nerves and maybe just a little bit of technique. Typically your faults in your technique that you would always have just get magnified in a place like this at a finals venue. So if you have a tendency to lose a little bit of tension in your release hand, for instance, it'll just be even more loss of tension in a place like this. So I think that's just what we're seeing right now, and that's just going to be down to nerves in the end.
Well, any vantage point is a good one here to watch your home team. This Park del Rio is right in the centre of town on the Medellin River running north to south through the city. It's part of a development to make more open space in a very, very busy city, and it's also they've planted a load of trees here, and it's also a pedestrian walkway so that people can fly through. They've actually built roads underneath the river so that there's no traffic going through the centre of the town. Brilliant location. First time this location has been used, and it does mean that a lot of people get access to this high quality archery competition. Great Britain trailing will shoot first in the fourth and final end.
I don't think Ella has missed very many points so far. I think she's been shooting a very high-level match, and it might not show in the team score, but as an individual, I think she's doing well, considering she has some more shooting to do later on today.
Yeah, got her eye, and that's for sure. And you're right, she hasn't missed the 10 yet.
Yeah, really, like they're getting their grouping together now, but Colombia has just gone well since the beginning, so I think maybe it's a little late.
Yeah, the Colombians came into this final end with a 3-point lead, and that gives them a little bit of wiggle room.
It's interesting to see that Sarah was talking to her while she was pulled back, so she was basically talking Maria through the shot. Some people like that, and other archers hate it. So I've had team members that wanted me to tell them certain things when they were pulled back, and there were archers that said, just shut up and let me do what I do best. So it's interesting to see how the team dynamic works in that sense.
Well, Ella Gibson, the ringmaster of this British women's team.
That was one of her best shots so far, and I think she she realizes that. I think that was a look of finally the shot that I like to shoot.
Another 10 for Great Britain. Puts just that little bit of pressure on Colombia. Gone high 9 to finish on a 2.28. So not a bad score from Great Britain, but there's a little bit more available to Colombia. They could get to 2.32 here if they hit 3.10s.
A 2.32 would be their lowest score of this tournament, but I think that's still a very, very good score, especially in the final match.
And with the conditions that have changed so much, and they're still on for that 2.32. Breathing space here, a 6 to draw level. Anything more, and Colombia take the first gold here at the Hyundai Archery World Cup. And it is a 10. What a finish from Colombia, and what a way to start our live coverage. The host nation handling the inclement conditions here in Medellin on home soil better than Great Britain. They got off to a flyer and they held their lead throughout. So Colombia have gold in the compound women's team competition. Chef, I think you alluded to it, that the Colombians just got going faster, dialed into the middle quicker, and they just didn't let Great Britain back in.
No, and I think a key moment in this match was when Sarah shot that 8 just outside of the 9. They didn't dwell on it, they just continued with their task, and they kept a certain team spirit going. They were supportive of each other, and not only in words, but you could see it in the body language and how they were communicating yeah.
Well, confirmation that Colombia are the winners here. It's another silver medal for Great Britain in the compound women's team competition on the circuit this year. And despite a little bit of a lackluster start by their very high standards, they came strong in the end, but had to settle for silver. Big hugs all around for the team, celebrating that silver medal, but on the top step of the podium for the first time here in Medellin, it will be the host nation, Colombia.
Fans, stay in your seat because the medal ceremony for the compound women's teams division is coming up next. Damas y caballeros, permanezcan en sus asientos, ya que
We get a good view there of the camaraderie and team spirit in the Colombian team. You could just see the shoulders are a little down. Ella Gibson trying her hardest to keep the team dynamic high, but it was a tough ask anyway against this strong Colombian team with a youngster there, Maria Suarez, just 21 years old in the lineup. Carpenter there, shooting in the middle for Great Britain, just 19 years old, so it's a real mix in both teams of youth and experience. But on this occasion, it was Colombia who stepped up first, and Colombia collect gold very shortly. We get a good view of the range here, just by the side of the Medellin River, here right in the centre of town. So these athletes have got a view of the mountains, and that beautiful statue at the end of the range there, mountain of colours, to represent the colours of Medellin and the people of this beautiful city. Let's go and speak to the first gold medalists here in Medellin.
Chicas, felicitaciones.
Muchas gracias.
Qué emoción que hayan ganado en casa, cómo se sienten con este logro precisamente aquí en Medellín.
Bueno, felices por estar en nuestra casa, tener la oportunidad de que nuestras familias y todos aquellos que han trabajado con nosotros durante muchos años nos estén viendo y disfruten con nosotros cada uno de nuestros logros.
Bueno, empezaron perdiendo la primera ronda, después se recuperaron. ¿Cómo fue este logro?
Pues como siempre uno se recuerda que el partido no se acaba hasta la última flecha. Obviamente las ganas de ganar estaban, siempre ayudándonos y apoyando entre nosotras. Obviamente tuvimos nervios, pero siempre dimos lo mejor de nosotros y con la mejor actitud.
Felicitaciones. Sara, ganaste en casa, ganaron en casa. Tu mayor anhelo era que tu familia te viera en ese momento. Ya nos habías dicho en otras entrevistas y te vamos a ver esta tarde. ¿Qué podemos esperar esta tarde en tu nueva competencia?
Bueno, si el clima mejora, esperemos que sí, vamos a tener unos muy buenos resultados. Vimos lo bien que tiró pues mi competidora. Yo tuve algunos errores, pero ya estamos corrigiéndolos. Esperamos que todo mejore para la tarde, pero el objetivo del día para mí era esta medalla. Nunca habíamos tenido la posibilidad de estar juntas en una Copa del Mundo este año y la primera vez que estamos, primera vez que ganamos este oro juntas, la primera medalla de Copa Mundo para Valen. Entonces para nosotras es muy emocionante y queremos seguir trabajando duro para el año que viene.
Felicitaciones y muchas gracias. Felicitaciones.
Well, Chef, I know that your Spanish is as good as mine, which meant we picked up very little from that. But I think you could see very clearly that Sara Lopez, in particular, was talking about the team spirit between them and how much she enjoys shooting with the other two.
Yeah, and you could see it. And I might have been a bit harsh on the British team for not saying they have any team dynamic, but I don't mean they don't have team dynamic. And I understand it's really difficult, especially if you're trailing, if you're behind the other team. It's very difficult to keep your spirits up and act like nothing's happening and just keep going with your task. But yeah, that's just the vibe that I was getting from just seeing the difference between the two teams. But it might also be that Colombia is just very good at it.
Yeah, and there are other factors, of course, that we don't know. The world is a very different place since 2019, so the effects not just of the pandemic and the lack of competition experience, but also the fact that it's now a bit of a nightmare to travel as well. But anyway, they're on the silver medal step of the podium. And it is, in fact, now time to go down for the medal ceremonies for the compound women's team competition here in Medellin.
Medals will be presented by Colombia Olympic Committee President Ciro Solano. Gifts will be presented by World Archery Vice President Maria Emma Gaviria. Bronze medal representing Republic of Korea.
The Koreans managed to dust themselves off after losing in the semi-finals and took the bronze medal here. Kim Yun-hee, Oh Yoo-hyun and Sochai-won. What do you reckon, Chef? Colombian chocolate or Colombian coffee?
At that moment, if I would be on that podium, I would be pleased with both.
What a diplomatic answer.
Silver medal representing
Well, Great Britain started a little bit more slowly than their opponents in the final, but what a cracking season they have had. This is their second appearance on the podium in the compound women's team competition. It's Ella Gibson, Elizabeth Foster and Isabel Carpenter.
Elizabeth Foster. Isabel Carpenter.
Well, what a dream start for the host nation. Sara Lopez, Maria Suarez and Alejandra Usquiano collecting gold in the compound women's team competition here in Medellin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Colombia. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to our athletes.
Well, there we have it. Colombia on top of the podium. Sara Lopez just sweeping away some of the water to make way for the other two teams to get on that top step for the photos. Confirmation of the medalists. Korea in bronze, Great Britain with the silver, Colombia are the gold medalists here at the fourth stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup in the compound women's team competition. What a start, Chef. Colombia, the host nation, getting gold.
Yeah, that was really something. It's like I said before and many times by now, it was really, really nice to see how they acted as a team, and I think it must have been really nice to see for the local audience.
Well, absolutely magic stuff for the host nation. What a start. And here are the final rankings. Colombia at the top of the pile from Great Britain and Korea, Mexico and the USA completing the top five. Fantastic venue as well, isn't it, Chef? Right in the middle of the city, so open to many people.
Yeah, and it's new, I believe. I've never seen this finals venue before, so it looks really nice, and I think it breathes the opportunity for people outside of the sport to go and have a look.
Yeah, and here's the mountain of colours. Actually, a Swiss artist designed that, and whilst you can just make out the Andes in the background, the clouds and the fog have come down on this city that nestles in the Andes Mountains. But when it's clear, you really do get a good contrast of the colours. And it's also supposed to represent the colourful character of the locals here in this northern city in Colombia, hosting a World Cup stage for the 6th time. As you can see, there's they put some temporary stands up for people to watch from afar, and it's like an oasis in the middle of the city.
think it's nice that they put a ceiling on the stands in this case, like a little tarp, so that people don't get wet. I think typically it was meant for blocking out the sun, but now it's very useful for the rain.
I think you're right. It's been beautiful all week, and on Medals Day it starts to rain like no tomorrow. So the Mexican team in the crowd. Coming up very shortly, it's time for the compound men's team gold medal match. Let's go down to the field of play. So time for gold here in Colombia, and for the second time today on Compound Saturday, Colombia feature in the gold medal match. They will go up against a very strong and perhaps fancied French team. Athletes and officials introduced. Chef, France?
Looking at the stats, yes, France. But as we've seen before, I might edge to Colombia because they have the home court advantage. We've seen that that might help, and you might feel more comfortable. So yeah, it can go two ways.
It's a very interesting matchup, that's for sure. The inclement conditions perhaps also may favour the host nation. It's time to go for gold in the compound men's team competition. Colombia going up against France, and it will be the Colombians to shoot first. Sebastian Arenas leads out the Colombian team.
And no real sign of nerves there. I think there were nerves. You could see it in his face, but in his shot he seemed very composed. So I think he feels right where he should be here. He was a bit surprised that didn't hit the 10, but he adjusts his sight, and I think if he shoots another one of those shots, it should be in the 10.
So Nicolas Girard steps up first for France. 22-year-old is the world number 17.
Yeah, like I said before, just looking at the stats, on average, the French team has a individual world rank of about 10th. Whereas the Colombians have a world rank of about 55th, if you would look at the average. So just statistically speaking, you would have to give this to France.
JP Bush anchoring for the French team, certainly through the first rotation. Solid start.
Yeah, well, as solid as it gets, I think. I mean,
grouping pretty good as well.
Yeah, they could have been in the X ring. I mean, they could have done a little bit more. And that was a really good shot again, but I think it's just out from our vantage point.
Yeah, the asterisk on the scoreboard there suggests it will go to a measure, so all the arrows are checked, but that one in particular we looked at.
Yeah, arguably one of the more experienced archers on the field right now, Daniel Munoz. And like I said, the first arrow was a bit on the left, he adjusted his sight, and this one hit the X-ring, so I think if he just keeps shooting good shots, he'll manage.
Big chance here though for France. They are on for potential maximum, and that's still the case with the fourth 10 of this end from Girard.
It was a bit of a longer hold than he would have liked, I think. You could see that he was just relaxing his release hand and just waiting for the release to pop off the string and make the arrow fly away, but I think it took longer than he would have liked.
Well, 59 plays 57. There is that fourth arrow going to a measure. Chef, was that the time buzzer going just then?
Yeah, it was. So they didn't have a lot of time left, but I'm sure that they will have counted down for JP, and yeah, they must have let him know how much time he had, and it didn't look like a particularly rushed shot. So I think he felt comfortable with the time that he had left, and in any case, if you don't have enough time, you can just make your release go off, so you don't have to shoot an arrow outside of the time. But you would like to shoot your shot in your normal, natural rhythm, obviously.
Yeah, you mentioned that second shot from Gontier being a little bit longer than perhaps we're used to from him, so perhaps that's where the time got eaten away.
Yeah, it's a team effort, so you get 2 minutes for 6 arrows, which translates to 20 seconds per arrow, but it doesn't mean that you only get 20 seconds as an archer. You can also use 25. That just means that the next archer will have 15, so yeah, you need to have a bit of balance within the team.
Después de disparada la primera serie, con una flecha dudosa, Colombia 57 puntos, Francia 59 puntos.
So that sounds like 57 plays 59. Now that arrow did not get marked up for the Colombians, and it's a 2-point lead for Bush, Gontier and Girard.
Yeah, and I think that was that shot that took a little longer than he wanted to. You could see that there was a bit of a dip in his arm, but yeah, it still is fine. They are still leading by 2 points, which is something that Colombia might be able to overcome. Those 2 points with 3 ends to go, that's 18 arrows. It's virtually nothing, especially in a team match. It's still very possible.
So here we go, Colombia trailing by 2, start end number 2. Arenas getting them off the mark again.
So the difference in this team trailing rather than the team from Great Britain that we've seen earlier is that we can see here that they're still quite calm. They try to just stick to the task. They communicate. There's just a different kind of vibe that's around the team than we've seen before.
Well, that one's been marked for a measure as well from Munoz. Felt it probably did cut the line, didn't it?
I think this one makes a lot more chance than the other one that we've just seen. I think it's no coincidence that the word nonchalance is French. They seem really at ease with how they're shooting.
It's known as commentator's curse, Chef.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Adrian. JP just makes it look very easy, compound shooting. He just, it seems like he just puts his spin in the middle and just waits for the shot, and then it goes in. He doesn't make it too difficult. Again, a bit unlucky maybe, if I may say so. Obviously there's skill involved, but yeah, this is his second arrow that's right outside of the 10 ring.
Well, a 9 is a great score, but this level that does open up an opportunity again for France.
Yeah, and this is one of those key moments where you have to keep your spirits up. So rather than drowning in sorrow, so this is, for me, this is the most important moment. They shouldn't let their heads hang. They should still communicate as if they are very much in the match still, and that might put them back into the match.
Opportunity for a 4-point lead.
Yeah, obviously France will need to drop some points for Colombia to be able to get back into the match, but I think their only chance is to stay positive at least.
Well, the difference will remain if Bush shoots a 10 here, so the pressure perhaps just changed over a little bit. It does get a 10, and the point score goes to 3 in terms of the difference. But he's seeing it. I mean, look at the French. They look happy. They're smiling. They're happy. They're in the centre of the target right from the very beginning. He's seeing perhaps a little bit of change for the Colombians, but they seem to look relaxed as well.
Yeah, they've relaxed a bit, but you can still see, especially on the face of Pablo, I think some nerves and some tension still. But it's understandable because you're trailing in a match that you don't want to be trailing in your home country. You want to do well in front of the home crowd, so yeah, there's reason to be a bit nervous. And mind you, he's only 20 years old. So.
Yeah, the youngest member of the team, world number 94. He has got a stage silver, team silver, back last year in 2021. So he's had experience of the field, but like you said, he's the youngest member of the team. Perhaps, exposing his nerves just a little bit more than the others.
Yeah, and that shot, I feel like he just he rushed it a bit, and I don't know if that was intentional, if he felt the need to rush it, or if it just went off faster than he anticipated.
Well, there's the man that you said makes it look easy. He's a big guy. The draw, it almost feels like there's nothing there, whereas to mere mortals, they have to put a little bit of effort in at the start of a compound draw.
Yeah, I was going to say that he shoots the same bow model as Pablo Gomez, but it looks like the bow is twice as small. It looks like JP is shooting a toy bow in his hand, so it's yeah, it's a very stark contrast there.
Look at the size of the man's hands.
Yeah, I think that's also what makes it look so easy, maybe, because it looks like he's able to handle that bow seemingly with ease.
Yeah, without, like it's a feather.
Yeah.
So Colombia trailing here in this gold medal match in the compound men's team competition on home soil in Medellin. It's a 2-point difference between the two teams. Colombia on 115, France on 117. And it's Arenas on the shooting line.
this is exactly what they should be doing. It seems obvious because it's archery and you should put the arrow into the 10 ring, but this is a very important moment in the match where you have two ends to get back 2 points in this match, so they need to be shooting 10s. A little bit longer of a hold than the other shots we've seen of him. And again, for the Colombian team, they've missed the 10 ring by less than half a centimeter.
Another opportunity for Girard and co to open up this lead.
And again, France, I think, manages to just cut that line. It's marked as a 9 asterisk, but from what I am seeing, it looks like it hit the line.
Yeah,
So that's what Kareem was getting at earlier, that when he pulls back his bow, it almost seems like there is no let off on the compound bow. And let off being the fact that when you pull back your bow, it has a very different draw curve than a recurve would. So a compound bow is heavy in the beginning, and then you draw into what they call a valley, and then typically you have 20 to 30% of draw weight left, whereas recurve just builds up, so the further you pull, the more draw weight you'll have. So the fact that when JP pulls back his bow and it seems like it's just one smooth draw, that's quite impressive.
you see the gears at the top and bottom of the bows that allow for this let off. A mechanical aid for the draw.
Yeah, that is exactly the reason that compound and recurve are two different disciplines, because it wouldn't be fair to have a compound archer shoot against a recurve archer, because it's much easier to stay in full draw and aim and have a bit more calmness in your shot than with a recurve bow. Slowly but surely, Colombia is edging closer to the score that France is getting.
Can get at least one back here, and that's if JP hits a 10, which he does. So again, right down to the wire on time, Chef.
Yeah, and I can only imagine that his coach or his teammates are at least counting down for him, so they'll count him down from either 10 or 5 or whatever you feel comfortable with, so that you at least know when you have to shoot the shot. Like I said before, you want to shoot the shot in your own time, at your own terms, but sometimes you'll have to force a shot before the time runs out, because if you shoot it after the buzzer, you won't get a score, so that would ruin the match.
Does the speed also have an impact on recovery time? I mean, as it does in individuals, I know you're alternating just with one individual, and you've got at least 2 other people shooting between, or 4 other people shooting between each of your shots. But if all 3 on one team all shoot fast, and 1 or 2 of your team shoot a little bit slower?
Not necessarily physically, I think, because these archers all have a maximum draw weight of 60 pounds, which is the max allowed draw weight, and that's something that they can all easily handle if they're smart. You want to shoot a draw weight that you can shoot many shots with without getting tired, so that you remain in control of the bow. So if the time that the opponent uses to shoot, if that is a factor in how well you can handle your bow, I think you're shooting too heavy, and I don't think that people here on this stage will shoot too heavy.
Well, France pulled out to a 2-point lead after the first end, maintained it through the second, but Colombia have nicked one back in the third. 6 more arrows per team to decide this gold medal, and it's finely balanced. Colombia stepping up to the mark. Number 56, Sebastian Arenas. We'll get this final end underway.
Yeah, and it's been a 2-point lead for France throughout the match. So Colombia have kept up, but just haven't gotten out of the gate so fast. A very good moment to shoot a 30, especially since France has been showing some vulnerability in the last couple of ends where they've shot more 9s than when they started off. So it seems like the momentum has kind of been thrown in the Colombian side. Again, a bit longer than you would want to have your shot take. He also seems a bit upset with it. I'm not a very good lip reader and I don't know much French, but I don't think that was a nice word that came out.
One-point game back there from the French. Sorry, from the Colombians against the French in the first half of this end. They need to do at least the same to stay in the match.
It's a bit of a longer shot again, and I think he might have just bumped it over the 10. And I think that eerie quietness that we heard from the crowd says a lot.
Nerves jangling, that's for sure. Not necessarily on the shooting line.
Yeah, and I think Daniel's face was saying, we did what we could, but I don't think it's enough.
Might not be now. 3-point margin, notionally, for the Colombians to play, the French to play with. They could get a total of 234 here with 3 10s. There's one of them.
The only real thing that could happen here is that Adrian has another one of his little bit of a longer shot, and then JP gets in any trouble with time. That would be the only way for me to see this go to a shoot-off.
Well, an 8 from JP Bush will give us that shoot-off. Anything more, and the French will be crowned champions of Medellin. And it is enough. It's a 10 for the French, and France, who came into this on paper the stronger team, have proven so, and are the compound men's team gold medalist here at the 4th stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup in Medellin. Adrien Gontier, JP Bush and Nicolas Girard will be standing on top of the podium a little bit later on here in Colombia. The French stayed composed and controlled. They were taking a little bit of a relaxation in between the ends. There wasn't necessarily anything in particular that I noticed like we did in the previous match with Great Britain. The heads going down a little bit. But here, the French were absolutely dominant.
Yeah, they shot quite a high score, especially for a finals venue, especially in these circumstances where it is a bit rainy. Your bow might feel a bit different in the rain. It might change a bit in tune. And I think, I don't want to point any fingers, but if we had to say where their biggest improvement lies, is Adrian seemed a bit nervous maybe. Or at least not as on point as we've seen him earlier in the season when he won individual silver, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that is a bit unusual for him, isn't he? He's usually very, very calm and composed. But like I say, who knows what's going on in the camp? We take a look back over that gold medal match. Both teams starting relatively well, but France pulled out a 2-point lead from the Colombians and held it through the next 3 ends.
Is coming up next. Damas y caballeros, permanezcanse sus asientos.
There is Gontier on the line, looking just a little bit concerned watching the arrow fly down the range, 50 meters from shooting line to target.
Yeah, and although he is typically quite stoic in his you know, emotions and what he's showing to the outside world, at least he was definitely showing some more here than we're used to from him.
Yeah, his demeanor was just a little bit gloomier than it is normally, but the spirit of the French has taken them through. JP Bush finishing things off with a very big smile. A great view of the venue here, and the crowd on the left-hand side of the range, and hopefully they'll get to hear the interview, which is coming up right now.
Chicos, felicitaciones, qué alegría que ganaron. Han ganado en casi todos los eventos de este año, en todas las etapas. ¿Cómo se sienten con este nuevo logro?
En gros, en fait, pour rapporter que vous avez gagné une médaille dans tous les événements, du coup, comment vous vous sentez, et surtout, et pour rapport à la dernière médaille que vous avez gagnée, comment vous vous sentez?
C'est la 4e étape du coup de l'année. On fait 4 finales de rang, 2 d'argent, 2 d'or. C'est parfait, une super année. Avec Sega et Quentin, c'est très bien.
Fue una competencia muy apretada en contra al equipo anfitrión, contra Colombia. ¿Cómo se sintieron de competir contra ellos?
Oui, a été un match très serré contre la Colombie, que c'est l'équipe haute. Donc, comment vous sentez de faire la compétition contre eux?
Bah, c'est vrai que la Colombie, c'est une grosse équipe et on savait que ça allait être un peu relevé.
Ils sont à la maison.
Ils sont à domicile et nous, on a la chance d'avoir 2 machines avec nous, Jean-Philippe et Nico, qui font un taf extraordinaire et c'était vraiment un match intéressant.
Sí, que están contentos de haber hecho el partido contra la Colombia, sobre todo que era un partido bien cerrado y sobre todo de estar acompañado de sus compañeros, que ha sido un partido muy interesante.
Muchas gracias. ¿Qué tan difícil fueron las condiciones climáticas en esta competencia?
Sí, par rapport aux conditions météorologiques, que a été compliqué, facile, surtout les ressentis que vous avez eu par rapport aux conditions.
Bah, pendant l'entraînement, il pleuvait beaucoup, donc c'était pas évident. Quand on rentre dans l'arène, c'était très bien, il n'y a pas de pluie, c'était une arène quand même, donc peu importe les conditions, il fallait être présent et aller chercher des 10 à chaque flèche. Donc voilà.
Sobre todo complicado con el entrenamiento porque llovía, luego después aquí para durante la competencia mejor porque ya el tiempo sobre todo la lluvia y el viento era mejor, pero de todas maneras había que ir a buscar el 10 todo el tiempo, entonces no había que buscar excusas.
Finalmente, ¿qué sigue para ustedes como equipo?
Finalement, pour vous comme équipe, ça suppose quoi?
De quoi?
Comme équipe, c'est la médaille. C'est quoi ça représente quoi?
Ah bah, l'aboutissement de...
Ça représente l'aboutissement d'une saison et d'une homogénéité qu'il y a dans les 4 mecs de l'équipe en fait. Parce que peu importe qui tourne dans l'équipe, ça fait finale et ça fait médaille.
Vale. Sobre todo la homogeneidad de todos los miembros del equipo, porque sobre todo que se ha visto regularmente que todas las competencias ha habido ahí medallas, y sobre todo que no, dependiendo de quién esté, simplemente ha habido una continuidad y ha habido buen resultado.
Perfecto, muchas gracias y felicitaciones.
Vale, merci beaucoup et félicitations.
Merci à vous.
Well, French is a little bit better. Interested to hear Evry Gontier saying it was nice today, hinting perhaps to his very, very slight dip in form, to be standing between the two machines, JP Bush and Nicolas Girard. They said they also talked about the weather and how it was raining an awful lot before the start of the competition, but it almost died off with perfect timing. There were still a few drips in the air, and then the last thing they were talking about is maintaining the same team. They've been performing together as a team through the season. Is this the team that's going to continue on into the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's always important to have a team that works well together and not just look at the highest scores, unless of course you have so many people in the team that you can shoot well with that it doesn't matter who you pick.
Well, as you may have gathered, it's time now for the compound men's team medal ceremony. USA, France and Colombia leading us out. There are the gold medal winners. Time for the medals in the compound teams competition.
Medals will be presented by Inter Medellin director Cristian Sanchez. Gifts will be presented by World Archery Vice President Maria Emma Gaviria. Bronze medal representing United States of America.
So the USA getting the bronze medal here in the Medellin in the compound men's team competition. Braden Gelantine, Jimmy Lutz and Tate Morgan representing the United States of America.
Tate Morgan. Silver medal representing Colombia.
Well, now it's the turn of the host nation. They couldn't quite do it in the final against just a very strong French team, but Colombia are on the podium again here in their home nation. Sebastian Arenas, Pablo Gomez and Daniel Munoz with silver.
Daniel Muñoz. Nicolas Girard. Adrien Gauthier.
But what a trio these three are. JP Bush, Nicolas Girard and Adrien Gauthier. Gauthier admitting in the interview afterwards that he was lucky to have the two other men in the team. Dropped a few points, not many, but would have been a little tougher if JP Bush and Nicolas Girard weren't shooting as well as they would. Done enough France to take the compound men's team gold medal and celebrate with their anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of France. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to our athletes.
Great start to the competition here in Medellin, the fourth and final stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup. I've seen Colombia on the podium twice. They got gold in the women's competition. Silver here from the USA in bronze, but France are the champions of the compound men's team competition here in Medellin. Well, you can see it's still just a little damp out here, but here's confirmation of the final rankings here in Medellin, the compound men's team competition. France from Colombia and the USA, with Korea and India completing the top five.
En la categoría compuesto equipos mixto entre México y Corea.
Well, you start to get a good view of what a marvellous development this has been through the city, and you can see the motorway runs underneath this amazing pedestrian complex. Coming up now, we turn our attention to the mixed team competition on Compound Saturday, and we have a treat in store. We have both the bronze medal and gold medal matches. Mexico taking on Korea first, followed by the USA against Denmark. Pretty packed out crowd here in Medellin, in the Parque del Rio, right in the centre of town. And like you, they're waiting for the compound mixed team competition medal matches. First up, we've got a bronze medal match between Mexico and Korea.
please welcome the athletes to the field of play for the compound mixed team bronze medal match.
Well, here they come. Korea leading out Mexico for the compound mixed team bronze medal match. Let's go straight down to the field of play for the introduction of the athletes. So Mexico line up with Daphne Quintero, the world number 28, and Miguel Tejera, the world number 11. Meanwhile, on the other side of the shooting line, Korea have Kim Yoon-hee, who's world number 9, and she's teamed up with Kang Dong-hyun, who's the world number 62. Chef, surely Mexico a stronger team?
Yes, you would say so. But I think Korea has been very consistent in their matches leading up to this one, and I think they have a good shot.
Yeah, usually on the shooting line, if you've got a Korean standing next to you, you've got an uphill task. But Mexico will be perhaps a little bit more confident given the conditions here as well. Daphne Quintero to get this bronze medal match underway.
Bit of a surprised look on Becerra's face there. And I have to admit that I made the same face when I saw that arrow hit in the 8 ring, because it looked like a comfortable, good shot. Korea coming out of the gates very strong with 2 10s, and historically speaking, in a team match that's very important to start the match with a good score. Although it's only 2 points of difference, so a lot of things can still happen. And Becerra, I think he probably moved his sight after that first one, and we'll see if it paid off. Sure did. Kang is really pumped up about shooting a 10. That's fun to see.
Yeah, he's up for it. There's a little bit more experience on this stage. Kim Yoon-hee shooting last. Just pushes it out to the 9, but that is a 1-point advantage for the Korean team after the very first end. Chef, no question really on any of the arrows there. Of course, they will be still checked by the target judge and confirmed, and of course the agents as well. But the astute amongst our audience will have noticed there are 2 targets. What are the rules about that? You've got to have arrows in both targets at the end, right?
Yeah, you have to shoot 2 arrows in each target, and you can pick if you want to have one arrow or one archer shoot both arrows in one target, or if you want to divide your arrows over both targets. that's both fine as long as both arrows or both targets have 2 arrows in them at the end.
What was it when you shot mixed teams? Would you tend to prefer shooting into one target and your partner shooting into the other?
No, because I shot recurve and we shot at one target at 70 meters, so that was a bit different.
Nearly caught you out.
Was that a trick question, Kareem?
Of course it was. But taking jokes aside here, surely it's easier just to aim at one target, even though they're 50 meters down the range, but they are, apart. The two centers are, a good meter apart?
Yeah, you would adjust for that with your footing. So you would either stand just left of the middle of the target or just right of the middle of the target. So you wouldn't typically stand in the same spot and aim off, because that will, or you would have to adjust the angle of your feet. That would also work, but I think most archers will just stand off of the middle of the target.
Head number 2 underway, and it's a 10 for Daphne Quintero. Only 1 point difference in this match, so no need for the Mexicans to panic at this stage.
You made me think a bit about this now, because I've never done this, shooting at 2 different targets, because I shoot a recurve, but I think I would indeed prefer to have 1 target to myself and 1 target to my mixed team partner. Not only because it's consistent, so you shoot at the same target, but also because then you can see where your grouping is according to the holes in the target. So I think there is some things in favor of shooting at your own target, but the Korean team decides against it, so there might also be arguments against it. It seems that whatever you do, you can shoot a 10 regardless, so I don't think it matters that much. So that's the first 9 that they get, and I say that not as a joke, because obviously Bichera has shot an 8 in his first arrow, but that's the first real sign of a shot that didn't go as he wanted, because his sight should be centered by now, as he's shot 2 10s after that 8. So it would be the first bad shot, so to say.
Well, a perfect 40 there for Korea, and they've just opened up that lead by another point to lead 79-77 at the halfway stage of this bronze medal match. Let's just delve a little bit deeper into this 2-target situation. If you shoot an arrow, say, into the 8-9 line, is there an element that perhaps you might follow that arrow back into the target if you don't switch targets?
There is, especially with compound, you're very prone to aiming at a dark part in the target, so that's why, especially indoors, a lot of compound archers like to keep their targets on the target butt for as long as possible, because it has nice black holes in them, so you can easily aim at that. Your sight picture automatically goes to that hole. The same goes for if you shoot a group on a certain side of the target. It's very easy to, by accident, to aim on that darker part of the target. So yes, there is a chance that if you hit an arrow outside of the center of the target, you might aim there subconsciously the next arrow.
And you talk about aiming at a group, that's not a problem if the group's right in the middle of the target, is it?
No, exactly. So that's why it's nice to have a group in the middle, because then you'll automatically aim there.
Well, there we go. The intricacies of this seemingly simple sport, almost infinite. end number 3, and it's Daphne Quintero back on the shooting line. She's not missed the 10 ring yet.
Easy to see as she has her own target.
Big movement there. And this is a very long hold for Kang. Oh, how on earth has he recovered that?
How did he make that one stick? I don't know. There was a bit of a wobble, or maybe more than a bit of a wobble. I think he thought his release was going to go off at that point, but it didn't, so he had to recover and shoot a good shot after that.
And see, he's just a little, it's just taking his time to think through that, just to settle himself back down again. I'd imagine that your heart goes through the roof of your mouth when that happens.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'll feel your heart beating in your throat, which is also your anchor point with his release. So, yeah, I think he might have felt that. I think he's still feeling the adrenaline from that shot.
So perfect 40 for Mexico, following on from the Koreans' 40 in the last end. Puts them on 117. Just a little nervy there, and that's pulled over to the 9.
Yeah, I think that was nerves that were left over from the last shot. That I think his confidence took a dent there. And with that, the gap closes to only 1 point, and the Mexican team will start the next end, so they can really put some pressure on the Korean team. So,
and I also noticed that the buzzer for the Koreans went off, within a couple of seconds of that last arrow flying out of the bow. So they used a lot of time probably with that first shot from Kang.
Yeah, that first shot from Kang, I think if it would have went off at the moment he wanted it to go off, that would have been his normal rhythm. So all of the time after that was extra time that he used on that shot. So you can imagine that eats some time away from the other archer as well.
Well, Quintero's shooting very well. Becerra has stepped up his game, having shot a couple of 9s in the first 2 ends. He's all 10s, but there was a big movement before that one. I think that's actually a shot from a previous end, but there was some big movement from Kang in his first shot in that end. Somehow he got it into the 10, but the nerves were a bit of a hangover for his second shot. We've got a 9, so Mexico have closed the gap to 1 point, and we have 1 end remaining. Back over to Daphne Quintero.
I don't think she was super happy with where her pin was sitting when that shot went off, but it hit the middle, and that's exactly what they should be doing right now to put some pressure on the Koreans.
Have those nerves settled down for Kang. Mexico have not missed the centre of the target, but they do need Korea to drop points if they're going to make this a contest again. And there is the point they needed. Well, with 3 hours left for Korea and 2 for Mexico, Mexicans have a chance here.
Yeah, I fancy seeing a shoot-off.
You might not get it, Chef. 2 9s give the lead to the Mexicans with 2 arrows to go, and you have to fancy them. Quintero first. Into the 10. If Becerra hits a 10 here, Mexico have come from behind in an absolute humdinger. And what a miraculous turnaround for Mexico. It just goes to show you don't stop until the final whistle blows. There's nothing that the Koreans can do here now. Difficult sometimes to watch these arrows. They know that the podium's gone for them, and they've not got another end to play, but they finish very well with 2 10s, but a 156 is not enough for the target set by the Mexicans. And what a comeback from Quintero and Becerra. What a brilliant contest for bronze in the mixed team competition. It's Mexico that will be on the podium. Expect the unexpected, Chef.
Yeah, Mexico went from trailing to leading in, what is it, the period of 2 arrows. So they shot 2 10s, Korea dropped 2 9s, and then all of a sudden they were from a losing position to where they could close out the match with a win.
And there is confirmation. Mexico taking the bronze medal here in Colombia. Daphne Quintero and Miguel Becerra will be on the podium a little bit later on here. The first session on Compound Saturday at the 4th stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup. Well, Mexico started Becerra with his first arrow going into the 8, and that really opened the door for the Koreans. Kim and Kang dropped a single point. That was the first arrow from Kang, showing how much he was up for it. In fact, I think that was his second arrow, both in the 10s for him. Daphne Quintero was solid throughout. She did not drop a single point throughout the whole competition, but Kang had a really difficult third end, and in the end it was Quintero and Becerra who took the bronze medal in the mixed team competition for Mexico. Coming up straight away, we'll find out who are going to be the mixed team gold medalists here in Medellin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the coaches and judges to the field of play. And now, please welcome the athletes to the field of play.
Well, it's time for the last of our gold medal matches here in the first session on Compound Saturday here in Colombia. Time to find out who's going to be on the top of the podium in the Compound Mixed Team Competition.
On target number 1, representing the United States of America, Linda Ochoa Anderson. James Lewis. The line judge for this match is Carlos Cervantes.
Well, here we go. Time for gold here in the mixed team competition. USA lineup with Linda Ochoa Anderson and Jimmy Lutz. Denmark with Tanja Gelantine and Matthias Fullerton. Chef, there's a lot more international flavour to this one, though.
Yeah, there is. It could have been really awkward since Tanya's husband, Braden Galantine, also shoots for the United States of America, and he could have been shooting this mixed team. So I don't know if she can be lucky or be happy about the fact that that didn't happen, or if she would have been okay with it. But yeah, there's a lot of international stuff going on in this match.
Well, it will be Tanja Gelantine to get the gold medal match underway for Denmark.
Yes.
Fullerton, just 19 years old.
Yes.
Yeah, just 19 years old, but I wouldn't say unexperienced. He's been active on the international scene for quite a couple of years now, and yeah, he's really racked up some experience in the meanwhile.
Yep. Yes.
High quality start to the match. Ochoa Anderson following up 2 10s from Galantine and Fullerton. Jimmy Lutz up to the shooting line.
Yes.
First arrow outside of the 10, and what I notice is that Tanja is the only person so far that I've seen shooting with sunglasses on. So I wonder if there's maybe more light around that we can see. If there's maybe something really bright behind the target or over the target. But it's or it might be a fashion choice, you never know. And as I say that, Kareem points at the sunglasses of Linda Ochoa.
Those do look like more like light deflecting sunglasses. I wonder also that perhaps with the rain that's come down now, it's stopped and you can see it started to clear up, that hay fever might also be an issue.
So something to note for James Lutz, is that he is a puncher, as we call him. He punches his release button to make the arrow go off, and he's not shy about it. He's quite proud of it even. Typically speaking, if you shoot with a thumb trigger release, you want to put your thumb on the trigger, just slowly build up the tension, and then the arrow will go after a certain amount of time. James does what is also referred to as shooting on command. So he really purposely just punches his thumb onto the trigger, and he is one of the few people in the world that can actually do that and have the mental fortitude to not get target panic from it. So maybe the next shot that we see, and we can get a good view on his release, and you can see it for yourself.
Our previous resident expert, Nikki Hunt, the former world #1, she favoured the subconscious squeeze, as she referred to it. You?
Yeah. For most people, yes, but looking at James Lutz, but also Kyle Douglas from the States, there are some people who are just very good at punching, and then especially in the wind, it's a very nice thing to be able to do.
Start of the second here, all square, and it's Tanja Gelantine of Denmark to get us back underway.
Yes.
very calm and controlled look on Matthias's face.
Looked controlled for Achara Anderson at the beginning there, but she then just almost had a little bit of a wobble on the release.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a bit off. Here's a good look at that release and that thumb that just consciously presses the trigger. And I think he knew that was going to go high, since when he stepped off the line, I think he was asking for confirmation, like, is that arrow high? And then just nodded his head when he heard it was.
So there's error in execution that he's talking about. No error in execution for Tanja Gelantine, and Denmark have a big opportunity here. Can the 17-year-old reigning individual European silver medalist Matthias Fullerton capitalise?
Kind of.
Well, yeah, got one. This is, though, now down to whether Achara Anderson and Lutz can both get it in the 10. Otherwise, this lead is going to be bigger than 1 point for the Danish team.
I was shaky, but I think she was happy to catch the 10 line there. And now a good full view of James's line work, and then you could see that arrow, or the thumb, sorry. You could see the thumb just wrap around that trigger and just smash it like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah, making a big adjustment there, because that one followed the other arrow in that he shot first, and Achara Anderson and Lutz trail by 2 points to a strong, determined, confident-looking Danish pair of Tanja Gelantine and Matthias Fullerton.
Yeah, and Denmark has, as well as the US, they've always had very good mixed teams. There has always been at least one woman and at least one guy shooter who were just always at a very high level. So whether it was Martin Damsbo or Stefan Hansen, and then now you have Tanja Jensen, but also Sarah Sunningson before, they've always had high-level mixed teams. So I think they must be one of the best compound mixed teams in the world. And the same goes for the US. They've always been very good at compound archery in general, and therefore have always had high-level archers in both the female and male discipline.
And is it partly down to the strength of American compound archery that the World Federation have formally put in an application for compound to be included in the Olympic Games?
Yeah, that must have something to do with it. It's applied for the LA Games, and I think it's no coincidence since compound archery started in the United States.
Well, the United States are trailing by 2. Achara Anderson gets the third end underway, and it's a 9, and they've just started to move away from the centre of the target, which is not what we're used to from them.
Yeah, so he adjusted his sight last end, but I think he should probably give it a couple clicks again, because he's still, his whole group is just on top of the gold. So I think a couple clicks might do the trick. A much more conventional looking shot from Matthias if you compare it to James Lutz's shot. So Matthias, he pulls back until he can get into his line, so he tries to put his elbow behind the line of the arrow and then just keeps pulling, and you could see the extension until the release went off. And now it seems like the US is in the same position as we've talked before with Great British team, where they're trailing. and then now is the time to, you know, step up your game. This is not really what you want to do then, but it's also a mental game. You try to, you know, you try to push each other up. You try to give each other some strength. But
we saw hints of that there from the, you know, Ochoa Anderson saying, "Hey man, don't worry about it. It happens to all of us." A 7 though, it really has opened the door, hasn't it?
yeah, I think Matthias has to hit the target here for a lead.
Yeah, it could be a big one. One more end to go, but the way the Danes have been shooting, this is going to be a big lead. It's a maximum lead, and it's a maximum third end result for Denmark when before the last arrow 2 points were already dropped, and then another 3 went with them. So a 7-point lead for Denmark. They've capitalised when the opportunity has come, but there's just been a dip in form from the USA pair.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the Danish shooting very well, and then the US dropping just too many points for this gold medal match.
Well, Jimmy Lutz looking at the lighter side of that. They confirmed a silver medal, of course, but they're going to need a big mistake from Gelantine and Fullerton, and it just doesn't look very likely that's going to happen.
No, it would have had, or it would have to be something like an equipment failure by this point.
One other question, we talked about it earlier on. Did Ochoa Anderson, last 2 ends, follow the arrow in that she shot with her second arrow followed into where the first one went? Because the groupings were incredible.
Yeah, she might have. That's a possibility, of course, but it's very difficult to see from where we're sitting what she is actually feeling and seeing. So there is a chance that her sight was just kind of being pulled to that first arrow in the end, or yeah, but there might just also be underlying things that we cannot see with the naked eye. But it's fun to speculate.
It certainly is. Fourth and final end here. USA trailing Denmark by 7 points. Ochoa Anderson on the shooting line, straight into the middle of the target.
So if it's correct what you were saying, let's hope for Linda that she does the same thing with this arrow and hits another X in the second.
Slightly faster execution there from Jimmy Lutz. Better result than the 9 he scored at the conclusion of the previous end. Galantine's been on fire here today. Just dropped a single point so far in the match. As in fact has Matthias Fullerton.
That was a lovely looking shot, and I think he knew as well that that was going to go in.
Smiles all around for the Danes.
It's a bit of a vicious circle, isn't it? Where if you're leading, it's easy to smile, but it's also important to smile if you're not. So yeah, you don't want to let your head hang too much when you're trailing the competition, but it's just so tempting to, you know, get into this negative mindset. But you kind of want to overcome that and see if you can overcome your negative thoughts in the first place by acting positively.
Yeah, it's a very good point, that circle, and trying to have that mental discipline when you're not perhaps shooting so well to keep your spirits high. 12 points required for the draw, 13 or more, and the Danes will be on the top of the podium. A 9 is scored, so you could do the maths. Just 4 points required.
Yeah, lowest scoring ring is a 5, so hit the target and you'll win.
That's more than 4 points by a long way, and Denmark, well, they took the opportunity that was presented to them in the third end, pulled away, and that made the fourth end a little bit of a formality. Jimmy Lutz and Linda Ochoa Anderson knew that one had slipped away from them in the third. But handshakes all around, and look at that warm, respectful hug from Linda Ochoa Anderson. They're all good friends out here. You mentioned Martin Damsbo there. He was getting his 15 seconds of fame again. And you mentioned Stefan Hansen, who's retrieving the arrows.
Yeah, it's all a team effort. So I think if you're in the Danish team, it's all basically like family. It's quite a small country. You travel around the world with each other, so yeah, you get to know each other really well. And I think it shows by them filling all the positions in the team.
Well, there we have it. Tanya Gelantine and Matthias Fullerton have taken the gold medal in the mixed team competition here on Compound Saturday in Medellin.
Fans, stay in your seats because the medal ceremony for the compound mixed team division is coming up next. Permanezcan en sus asientos. En contados minutos daremos comienzo a la ceremonia de premiación en la categoría equipos compuesto mixto.
Very strong pairing and performed really well in this gold medal match as well.
Yeah, the matchup of Matthias and Tanya in this case was very good. I think they shot the highest score that they did so far coming up to this match. So yeah,
they equaled it, and even though it was a difficult match for Ochoa Anderson, and looked, even if they were on their finest form, they only dropped 3 points, Denmark. That's a great score.
Yeah, that's incredible, especially on a finals field, where the pressure is more on than in any other situation. Although the US team maybe dropped more points and kind of gave them the room to be relaxed, it's still a very high score.
Guys, congratulations. You are going to Mexico. How important is this experience of practicing in the arena?
This is a really good practice. Any experience you get on a finals field before going to the World Cup final is awesome. So this was a really good experience.
Great. The Americans shot a 7 in the third. What were you thinking when you saw it?
I never really think about what the other guys shoot. I just have to shoot my shot. But yeah, I didn't really think a lot. Obviously, I thought they would shoot really good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations.
Well, someone did the maths quicker than us. Highest ranked team after the 4 World Cups, Denmark. Winning here means they will appear as a mixed team at the Hyundai Archery World Cup finals in Mexico a little bit later on this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for the compound mixed team.
Time for the final medal ceremony of the compound team events here on Compound Saturday. First session of 2. The second session will feature the individual tournament conclusion. Time to celebrate with the medalists here in the compound mixed team competition at the 4th stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup.
Medals will be presented by Colombia Olympic Committee President Ciro Solano. Gifts will be presented by World Archery Secretary General Tom Dillon. México.
So the bronze medal going to Daphne Quintero and Mikel Becerra from Mexico. And of course, that could be the pairing the host nation put into the mixed team compound final on home soil.
Silver medal representing United States of America.
Well, they shot so well to get through to the gold medal match, beating Argentina, India and Mexico. But it was a bit under par for them today in the gold medal match. Not a bad day when you're under par to get a silver medal at the Hyundai Archery World Cup. Let's go to Linda Ochoa Anderson and Jimmy Lutz.
Gold medal representing Denmark.
Well, they are the pick of the bunch. They shot so well throughout the competition at the highest scores overall. They beat Chile, Puerto Rico, Korea, and then the USA with an outstanding 157. Gold medal in the mixed team competition goes to Denmark's Tanja Gelantine and Matthias Fullerton.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Denmark. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to our athletes.
Well, there we have it. Confirmation that Mexico have collected the bronze in the compound mixed team competition. USA with silver and Denmark on top of the podium with the gold medal from the fourth stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup.
This concludes the competition for this morning.
Well, here are the final rankings for the compound mixed team competition. Denmark taking the top step on the podium from the USA and Mexico, with Korea and El Salvador completing the top five.
Final bronze and gold medal matches in the compound individual division. Así concluimos con la competencia de esta mañana. Los esperamos en la tarde para continuar con los partidos por final individual de semifinales.
Well, you can see just how close the general public get to this finals range. It looks absolutely spectacular.
Attention all athletes and coaches here in the finals venue. We want to inform you that lunch is open at the
Well, Chef, it's a brilliant location right in the centre of the city, and now the clouds are clearing and we get a picture of how this city is nestled in the Andes Mountains. But what a brilliant start to the competition. Anything particularly stand out for you?
There's a couple things. So yeah, obviously it was nice to see the Colombian women's team get a gold medal in front of their home crowd. That was cool. There was some exciting matches that we saw. For instance, the mixed team match between Mexico and Korea, where Korea seemed to be leading the whole time, and then Mexico managed to turn it around just at the end. So yeah, there was more than one highlight, I would say.
Yeah, brilliant last match as well. And we take a look back over the competition. Great Britain up against Colombia in that women's team competition. They weren't with their A game today, but Colombia certainly were, and got the home crowd really hyped up. Suarez, Escrieno and Lopez taking that gold medal for Colombia. Colombia featured in the men's gold medal match as well. They were up against an incredibly strong French trio of Bush, Gontier and Girard. Daniel Munoz anchoring the team for Colombia, but as a unit they weren't quite as good as the French team, who went on to take the gold medal. Well, the Koreans started strongly in the mixed team bronze medal match against Mexico, leading by 2 points at the halfway stage. And things didn't go too awry for Korea, but Mexico came storming back, closing that 2-point gap to just one after the third end, and then in the fourth completing a back-to-back perfect to take the bronze medal. It was Ochoa, Anderson and Lutz against Gelantine and Fullerton in the mixed team gold medal match, and the Danish pairing were just too strong. A couple of stray arrows for the USA was enough to ensure that Denmark took gold. The last of the gold medal matches in this team session. Coming up in just under 2 hours' time, we will turn our attention to the final four in the individual tournaments. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back very soon.